Are you one of those people who've secretly enjoyed lockdown? Working from home has suddenly become an opportunity to work from almost anywhere, with the result that you can be maybe more creative, a bit more relaxed, you can de-stress, you've got an opportunity to play ball with your dog, for example, and still stay connected and still be able to be as productive as ever. Well, I have to confess, I am one of those who have actually been surprised at how well lockdown has worked out for the drum. It has certainly allowed us to be more productive, and I don't see any discernible drop in creative standards. Today's office really tries to understand this trend, which to many has been surprising, because it's fair to say during the first lockdown there was much mumping and grumping and genuine worry and anxiety in the advertising industry about how we would survive a scenario where we could no longer all work together in the same building. After all, this is an industry that famously believes its assets go up and down in the lift every night. What happens when these same assets can't even get in the front door? How do you maintain a sort of an atmosphere and culture of collaboration? How do you sort of basically benefit from these informal connections with your team to produce great work? Well, obviously the lockdowns are beginning to lift and we are now entering a new era, and people are really beginning to question, well, how do we hold on to the best of the lockdown experience and then combine it with going back to the office and learning to sort of work from sort of central locations again? Now, to try and understand what this will mean to you, the Drum has been speaking to some of the world's top creatives, as well as creative managers, to get their take on what they think the new normal will really mean in practice. And I'm delighted to say we've been supported in this endeavour by Adobe. Now, Adobe are an ideal partner for us, because obviously if it wasn't without their sort of technology, I don't think the sort of collaboration would have been possible through the pandemic. I don't think the industry would have been able to function in any way whatsoever. So that's why they're such relevant partners. And in today's episode, I'm delighted to say the Drum's very own Imogen Watson is in conversation with Rankin. So over to you, Imogen.
Hello, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we're pretty much back to work now, so it's really interesting to balance everything. But I'm good. Yeah, we're in a really interesting place. But I feel very confident that things are going to start to smooth out for us all.
Are you in the office today, or are you in the studio, or are you at home?
I used to live in the space that I'm in. And during lockdown, we realized that it was actually not the right place to live for us. So we've moved out, and we're going to probably make this an extension of the business in some ways. We were very lucky because we were allowed back from lockdown. We were one of the first types of business that were allowed back. And then we came up with quite a nice policy within our business, which was work from anywhere. You don't have to work from home. You don't have to work from the office. You can work from anywhere. And we're trying to make our office much more of a drop-in place and a hangout place, and come in and sit at the desk and put your headphones on and don't talk to anyone, or have the water cooler moment. So we're trying it in our own way, which is, I have to say, I don't think we're definitely not getting it right. I don't think anyone's getting it particularly right yet, but we're trying to find these new ways of working. And I think that I've embraced that probably one of the most in the office. I'm like, I want to find this way, this balance that worked for everyone. So take the positives from what's happened, really accentuate those, really look into the negatives and try and help ourselves with those, and try and find this really good balance. Because I've talked a lot in the past about boredom and fear of missing out, and actually kind of not having fear of missing out, but turning off your phones and having all this time for yourself, because it really helps your creativity. The lockdown, the forced isolation made me realize that was even more important.
I've seen you say in the past that you really missed your studio because you were amongst all your all the people that you work with, and you're talking about this idea of, you know, anyone can work from anywhere. Do you think you'll lose a part of the culture in that sense?
Yes, the culture is difficult to sustain, but what we've tried to do and are going to continue to do and accentuate is create events for people to socialize and not to enforce that kind of interaction, but to give them the opportunity to do it in real life. And then the consequence of being a photographer and director and production company is we actually shoot as well. So they are enforced kind of human interactions because you have to have them. You know, you need them because we all have to be in the same room. So we'll definitely be. We shoot all the time as well. We're not sort of a company that just do campaign work every now and then. We're shooting pretty much every week because we're doing lots of editorial. We do some support for brands, which is like very small shoots, like almost online shoots, you know, stuff like that. So we're doing loads and loads of shooting, and that means that there's a really good opportunity for people to come into the office and have that interaction. But it's not a necessity. So there's no hard and fast rules. The only rules that we've kind of put in recently is no emails before 7, no emails after 7. Make sure you take an hour, a half an hour minimum a lunch break. Stuff that's just really, you know, coming from the staff requests and actually us kind of going, well, we probably want that as well. So it's a moving feast, and I think we've just tried to be very adaptable. The one thing I couldn't understand when all this happened last year was, why do we have to be on visual, interactive platforms? Why don't we just phone in? We used to just phone in. I mean, I've done countless conference calls where you just all phone in. And so I started to just phone into a lot of them. So I would do a bit of both. And then I'll just literally go for a walk and I'll be on my walk. And I found my step count went up, and then my mental health, which I have to say definitely deteriorated after Christmas. It really I really started to feel massive anxiety, which I've never felt before really in the past. It really helped me. Going out and doing things really, really helped me. So there are kind of rules, but they're not really steadfast. And the idea is there is no rules. It's the rules should be for you. What works the best for you is the way it should work. And listening as well, listening to what people's requests are.
As a leader in your company, what more can people do to make sure that the staff and themselves are feeling good?
What we've definitely done in the last sort of the last year is really trying to listen to everybody, every corner of the business and what they're saying. I recommend, even to the people that work within my team, is take time off, go and do something else, read a book, walk, look at nature. You know, they're the basics. The basics.
To go back to, obviously you've talked about boredom, and I find it so interesting what you say, obviously, about the fact that from boredom can come creativity. So how have you struggled to stay inspired during the lockdown, and what advice would you give to others who might be struggling to do so?
If I'm honest with you, I haven't found it difficult to be inspired, because I've been very separatist about creativity. So what I mean by that is I've made time for myself to think about things, which I feel that the loss of the interaction is difficult. It does make it more difficult, without question. But I think when we do interact, we interact much quicker, and we interact much more directly and think through things. So I make sure I give myself time to do those. Like if I have to write something, I tend to do it. I start it on a walk and then I'll finish it later on. So I'm thinking in a kind of, it's not a vacuum, it's the opposite of a vacuum, but it feels very empty in the sense that I don't have to worry about anything else.
Creativity was quite concentrated in London before the lockdown, and I feel that, you know, it's gone more dispersed. So how are the creatives and the creative directors that you work with, would you say that they're sort of more dispersed?
That's a more difficult question for me, because I feel that some of them have really enjoyed not having to be in the office, and I think some of them haven't. So I do think it becomes about the individual. There's absolutely no reason that we all have to live in London full time anymore. One of the things that I would always encourage everyone to do is, if you've got the chance or the opportunity to work away from the office and away from home and still work, I think that could be really healthy.
So how would you say that technology is helping us to work better remotely? Do you think it's been positive?
Technology has made my business, workable. I mean, I've done some shoots where I'm shooting over either a computer Zoom or a telephone, a smartphone Zoom, and you've got like amazing products, everybody's created things that I think are useful. Like Samsung have got an amazing phone, the Galaxy S21, Adobe have got some great stuff. It's like we couldn't really do it without them. I did an amazing shoot with BAFTA where I was shooting people remotely over a phone, and then they were taking pictures with the phone, and the results were extraordinary and really good fun, but nothing is as good as in real life. And my kind of balance is, you have to have time off the technology to be able to use the technology. And the extraordinary thing is that without it, we wouldn't have had so much connections.
For sure. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm delighted to hear that you're getting back to normal, and whatever normal will be. That's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us for the latest episode of Today's Office, produced in partnership with Adobe. If you enjoyed this, there's plenty more where it came from, so please visit the Hub for more.